Hello, everybody. Welcome back to How Come. This episode is with somebody who's been on the podcast before, but has never talked about this specific topic. We are here with writer, comedian, TV critic extraordinaire, Ashley Ray, and we are talking about endometriosis, which if you don't know what it is, it's okay. I didn't know for a really long time. And it is an often painful condition in which tissue that is similar to the inner lining of the uterus grows outside of the uterus. It often affects the ovaries, fallopian tubes, and the tissue lining the pelvis. It can cause pain, especially during menstrual periods. Excess bleeding, fertility problems also may develop, but there are treatments that can help you take charge of the condition and its complications. So if you are somebody with endometriosis or you suspect you may have endometriosis, this is a good episode for you. As always, consult with a doctor and then get a second opinion if one doctor sucks. Okay, you're going to love this episode and I can't wait for you to listen.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just...
Welcome back, Ashley.
Thank you for having me back.
Always.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. We're going to be talking about endometriosis today, which is something that I had never even heard of until, I want to say like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
When there started being those commercials on TV being like, do you suffer from endometriosis? And I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I think most people didn't really know about it until like Lena Dunham made it popular. Like she was kind of the first celebrity to be like, I have endometriosis. Yeah. And that's when it was like, whoa.
Yeah. Did you know like what it was before her? Like, had you been diagnosed yet?
I actually got diagnosed like the week her book came out.
Oh my God.
Her book, Not That Girl or whatever it is, where she talks about endometriosis. I got my diagnosis that week and read the book and was just like, wow, she really is the voice of a generation. This is exactly my experience.
Or a voice.
Yeah, a voice of a generation. For people who have endometriosis. But,
yes.
But like... When I started my period as a teenager, I like had been on birth control, which kind of helps with endometriosis. Obviously, it like stops your actual menstrual cycle. So I didn't really know that I had this issue until I realized my birth control was kind of messing with my antidepressants and just overall making me super depressed. I didn't want to be on hormonal birth control anymore. So I got off of it. And I got a copper IUD. So the copper IUD, no hormones.
My favorite.
It's probably the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life.
Really? Oh my God, I love mine. Go on.
Oh, well, they're great unless you have endometriosis. Okay. So the copper one, the way it works is basically they're like, copper is magic and it kills sperm. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of scrapes the walls of your uterus, which for most people is fine. But when you have endometriosis, you sometimes have cysts. You sometimes just have a harder time with your body letting go of that, the blood layer, whatever it is, like the placenta it's building. So having
it's blood and mucus.
Yeah, the blood mucus stuff. When you have endo, it's like, so it can feel like that's ripping from your body rather than like it's falling out how it's supposed to. So having the copper IUD just made it all worse because it makes your period heavier. So on top of like the copper heaviness of a period, I had endo periods. And I would truly go through an Ultra Plus tampon in like 2 hours. I had to wear those like period diapers and Ultra Plus tampon at the same time. I would have to sleep in those because I would just like go through a pad in like an hour or two. And I would go to the doctor.
How old were you when you got the IUD?
I was 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still pretty young.
Yeah, still pretty young, you know, and I had been just on the pill until then. And when that happened, I just was kind of like, I need to go to the doctor. Like, this is not what periods are supposed to feel like. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is normal. And every doctor was just like, oh, you just have heavy periods. Like, that happens for some ladies. You just, you know, you're someone with a heavy flow. And I was just like, but it hasn't been like this.
But
like,
that's so, like, did they not know what it was?
No, not really. I mean, I think doctors know, but at that point, I think it was still one of those things they considered rare in women. Like they, I think, usually thought.
So why look into it?
Yeah, and it's like it's only a problem if you get a cyst so big that it bursts. Then it's like, oh, we should have taken this seriously. When I first went to the doctors, if they had taken me seriously and done like a interuterine ultrasound thing, they probably would have seen that I had small cysts developing, and they would have been like, "Oh, yeah, that's why it's so painful and why you have endo." And okay, we see this now.
Like it can only get to the point of popping if like you let it get that big.
If you let it get that big, and they just kept being like, "No, you're good, you're good." And then eventually, I did have a doctor who was like, "Yes, let's do the intravaginal ultrasound." She did it. She saw the cysts. She saw 2 small cysts, and she was like, "These are really small. Like, I don't know. I think they'll just go away on their own." And I was like, "But things haven't been getting better, and I think I've had these for a while." And she was just like, they clear up. We don't want to do anything too drastic. And I was like, okay. And then you cut to about, at that point, I think I was 23 and then maybe 24. When I was 25, I'm on my way to work, and my cyst burst.
Oh, no.
And it was the most painful, horrific thing I've ever experienced. I thought I was actually dying. It was... And then the stress of, like, what's happening to me, I was like, I'm having a heart attack, and also, like, something is broken, like a bone is stabbing me or something.
Like, and it hurts in your, like, cramp area? Or, like, your body? Or
it's kind of all body, but mainly, like, the cramp area. It's, like, for me, it felt... what I imagine, like, when you go into labor, what that feels like. That's what I've never been pregnant, so
but with no gift of child.
Yeah, with no gift of child, I was like, this feels like of like something just kind of pushing, and there's a lot of blood, so I felt like you feel the wetness of it like bursting and stuff. It's disgusting, and I was truly like on the blue line on my way to work in Chicago, and I just like got off the train and called an Uber and immediately went home. Called my boss and was like, I am not coming to work today. I have to go to a hospital. And I go in and they're like, oh yeah, you definitely have endometriosis. We see that you had that really large cyst that burst, and we see 2 more small ones. And yeah, you have this. And
we can diagnose it now because like the worst thing has happened.
Yeah, because the worst thing has happened. Now that you've suffered what you feared, now we know you really have endometriosis. And maybe we could have listened, but what could we even do? Because at that point, there was still no like treatment, really.
Yeah, because so they're like, why would we tell you what it is?
Yeah, when
if
we can't
there's
do
nothing
anything
to tell you about the steps later.
Yeah,
but had you like Googled or researched like what this could be, even with them saying like things are fine?
Yeah, it had come, like, obviously I had been Googling, doing my WebMD of like what is wrong with my body, and a lot of things were coming up as endometriosis. But even at that point, when I was looking at things online, all of the kind of reading was like, but this is really, really rare. And like, you'd barely be able to walk if you had endometriosis. There was
like, well, I'm rare as fuck, and I'm also talented.
Yeah, and I'm so talented that I'm just living with it. And now we know, like, no, there's severity to endometriosis.
Yeah.
Like, some are easier cases, and you can live with them and maybe go your whole life just thinking, oh, I have harder periods. And there are those of us who die once a month when we get our period.
Yeah.
Because it's so horrible. So at that point, like, the doctor I had, she was like, what we can do is, you know, you might want to get on a regimen of like heating pads and Midol during your period. And she was like, we can do prep work. So like when you're starting PMS, like 5 days before you think your period's going to come, you can start onboarding with like Midol and just like taking it in the lead up. This is just like
normal period stuff.
Yeah. And I'm just like Midol's not going to do anything for me. It's never even like, but when I was on the pill and I would take Midol, I was like, this is a placebo. It does nothing.
Wait, I don't know if you've seen this yet. I know that you're online as much as I am, but I saw this TikTok last night, and it was a girl. Obviously, it's to the party for you trend, so it's sad immediately. But it's like, have you ever thought of your period as a little woman in your uterus, and every month she is setting up a party and decorations for a baby to come, and then when you don't get pregnant, she's ripping down all the decorations, and that's the pain that you feel?
Yes.
And somebody was like, don't make me feel empathy for my period. And I was just like, wait, I'm like sad. But then I was like, wait, she's been doing this since I'm 14. That's like really fucked up then.
That's fucked up. I don't feel empathy for that bitch, because mine, she's not just ripping the decorations down. She's so mad she's burning the house
walls
down, okay? Yeah. She's burning things down. She's shooting her neighbors. She's going on a rampage, and she needs to be stopped.
I know we've gotten this far, but for anybody still listening wondering, what is endo? It is a disorder in which tissue similar to the tissue that lines the uterus grows outside the uterus in places where it doesn't belong. So with endometriosis, deposits of tissue that act just like the tissue lining the uterus develop outside. The tissue thickens, breaks down, and bleeds with each period, but the blood has no way to leave the body and becomes trapped. And that can lead to like cysts and pain
and so much blood and just the worst periods.
And so much, like, what do you mean it's trapped? Like, because then if you've had it since, like, you're of menstruating age, like, it's just there your whole life?
Yeah. So, like, I started my period when I was 11, and the doctor was like, yeah, most likely when you're, like, 11, 12, this cyst started forming and just kind of grew bigger and bigger, and the blood just kept it gets stuck until eventually it can either burst as a cyst, or it can harden outside of the uterus and cause issues for your other organs, and like, you know, that's not good, infect things and cut things, I guess, and that's the worst case scenario, where you would have to have surgery to like have it removed and have all of that kind of scar tissue removed.
And if it doesn't harden, then you just like become a blood bank, like you're just full of blood.
You're just There were times I was like, I wish I could just somehow collect all of my period blood to prove to people how it is so much more than it is supposed to be. Like, I would read all these things online that's like, the average woman, like, has a teacup's worth of blood during her period. Just a cute little teacup. Yeah. And I'd be like, I have, like, a Slurpee from 7-Eleven's worth. Like, it is, no, like, this is insane. Like, and they just
what they were throwing at those kids on Glee, that's from Ashley's reserves.
From me, right there. Ryan Murphy had me backstage loading those up, and but yeah, it's. I think the scariest thing at the time was that there was just so little research. Yeah, like truly. When I started Googling, it was like, so Lena Dunham and her book, you got that. And WebMD telling you that this means you'll probably never have children and you'll maybe die. And now it's at least something that I feel like people talk about, that people realize is very common and is not this like rare thing for some women who just like have pain during sex or something. It is probably something that most women should be checking for throughout their lives, because you might not know you have those cysts and it can be a problem later. There are, ways you can check.
It's one of those situations where it's like, they'll be like, oh, it's so rare. But that just means like, we don't know about it yet.
Yeah.
Like the way that people are like, autism is really rare. And it's like, no, you guys you weren't testing for it.
You weren't testing.
Gay people are so rare. And it's like, no, they're just not coming out yet.
Yeah. And it was exactly that, where it just kind of was like, the early doctors, I could kind of tell were like, it's annoying to test for. Like, and I probably had bad insurance, so that's probably part of it.
Yeah. So how do, like...
So if it's really bad, where you have endo, where maybe you have like a lot of pain after sex or something, and you're noticing it, like when you pee, you feel pain, that can be a sign that like it is coming out of your uterine wall and maybe impacting like your bladder. So you can kind of feel in that area, and if you feel hard things, it can be a sign, but at the same time, it's like, have a doctor do that check. It's like when they tell me to check my own breasts, I am always like, I can do that, but I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. So like they were telling me like, you can feel, and I was just like, I know that just feels like a bone to me, or muscle. I don't know. But technically there are like checks you can do if you've been having those problems. But otherwise, the best way to do it is to have an intrauterine ultrasound. Yeah. It's, they just put it in there and take a camera and look around and see if you have any cysts developing. And typically then they're even able to catch like pretty small ones. And every year when you do your like Well Women check, you should try to have them do that so they can see if the cyst is growing year over year. If it's not, then okay, you just have a regular cyst that like will probably go away on its own, like they say. But if you do notice, my periods are getting worse, this is getting bigger every year, you might have endometriosis.
Yeah. It says symptoms are pain areas in the lower abdomen, lower back, pelvis, rectum, or vagina. Pain circumstances can occur during sexual intercourse or while defecating. Menstrual symptoms, abnormal menstruation, heavy menstruation, irregular menstruation, painful menstruation or spotting, and then gastrointestinal constipation or nausea. and abdominal fullness or cramping. And then they say also common infertility, but you would have to be at the point that you're already trying and it's not happening. So, but I mean,
I feel like that's a common way people are diagnosed, because they go their lives thinking, oh, I just have painful periods, and then they try to get pregnant.
A heavy flow. I just have a wide set vagina.
And a heavy flow. It's just who I am. And then when they try to get pregnant and run into complications, or, they have a lot of miscarriages, that's when it can come out that, like, hey,
you've had this thing your whole life.
Yeah. And also, a lot of times, when my cyst burst, I thought I was having a miscarriage. I was like, maybe I was pregnant and did not know, and this is a miscarriage, because it wasn't on my radar. So I do think that there are maybe people out there who have, like, gone to the bathroom and had this, like, burst of maybe pain that feels like a lot of blood and stuff, and they don't realize that it's endo. Maybe they think, like, oh, I had an accidental miscarriage or something, or I didn't realize I was pregnant. But
an accidental miscarriage is such a funny way, like an on-purpose miscarriage.
Never
happened.
Planned Parenthood's not getting my money.
Yeah. Oops,
but I straight up was like, I got pregnant somehow. I don't know. And I'm having a miscarriage. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no, yeah, it's a cyst, it burst.
And then they're like, we're ready to diagnose you now.
Yeah.
Come on.
Now that we've ruled everything else out and you're in so much pain, we figured it out.
And you had been having sex up until this point. So was that painful as fuck?
So it was in the, like, during when I was PMSing and, like, in the week after my period, absolutely painful. When I was on my period, no way was I having sex. Like, I am one of those, I'm a feminist girl who's like, hell yeah, eat pussy on your period, fuck on your period. But personally, I was like, if you touch me on my period, I will die. Yeah. Like, don't come near me. I don't want to be, like, no, leave me alone. So I would feel just probably, like, 2 weeks out of every month where I'd be like, sex is too painful. Like, even just the cramps leading up, it would feel like just stabbing myself with something if I tried to have sex. I, for a little bit, thought that I had
vaginismus.
Yeah, vaginismus, where, like, your body just can't relax, which actually was a topic on the last episode of Dr. Odyssey. Whitney Cummings has it, and she's suffering, but they teach her how to loosen up, and she's managed to get some things in there.
Get some dilators,
Yeah, so I was like, what if I have that? Like, what is the issue? But then there would be, like, 2 weeks out of every month where I'd be fine and I could have sex and it didn't hurt. So, You know
what's interesting is I feel like in a lot of religions, at least for like Orthodox Jews or whatever, like you're not allowed to have sex on your period or a week after. And like I've heard of other cultures where like they're very like anti-sex with period, anti being around women with periods. And like maybe that's another element of why it went undiagnosed or is like seen as so rare, because like people weren't even trying because it was just like, no, we don't do that. So you don't realize like how much pain you could actually be in while fucking on your period.
Yeah. And there's such a cultural, stigma to it that I think plenty of people are just like, well, I don't have sex on my period, so why would I notice that pain?
Yeah.
And then when, afterwards, you're not going to notice it because, maybe the cyst burst during that period, or it's just not as big, or some of that blood did get out and wasn't trapped, so you don't notice it as much. And there's a million reasons, but
like, where would it go? That's so confusing to me.
It's just in there.
It just starts leaking out of your pores like Ebola.
It's just in there leaking all over things until one day it's like, I gotta explode. And then you feel like you're dying.
I'm imagining Hexus from Fern Gully, just like, that smoke demon who's pollution.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And he's Tim Curry, so he's like verifiably sexy. But he's like clogging up everything and like making the truck not being able to work because all the functions are like sticky and gooey because of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's endometriosis.
That's endometriosis, basically, is my body just covered in bloody gunk inside.
Yeah. Oh, so on those weeks, like, would you even try to masturbate on your period, or it was just like, this is a no-go zone?
It's a no-go zone. Like, even I would try, because there was, I feel like this time when I was around that age where people were like, orgasms help you with your health. Like, orgasms help with period pain. Orgasms help with a common cold. So I would try. And it just hurt, like coming hurt. Like it just like you with the scar tissue, I guess I had and the cyst, it was just like those nerves, all of it just felt like pain. Like there just was, no like, oh, get through it and maybe it'll kind of feel good, or like, no, it was just this hurts. Like if I was gonna have sex, I would have to like use lube because it just was like dry pain. And I mean, after that cyst burst and I got like on treatment, sort of, they really just put me back on the pill and were like, that worked for you, so just stick to it. Sorry about your depression. Which is the kind of sacrifice that I feel like women have to make all the time with birth control, where we're like either on the birth control that makes us crazy or the birth control that makes my body go crazy. But basically they were like, yeah, that's going to be the best treatment for you because that helped for so long. But, I was just kind of like, but can there be something else? Can we?
Yeah.
Like, there has to be some other thing someone has figured out with this. And it's like, you feel a lot of pressure at the same time. So that was another reason sex wasn't comfortable, because it just like, you feel, I don't know how to describe it. It's like an internal pressure. And so then when you're having sex, it just felt like someone was like using
stabbing you.
Yeah, like stabbing me, but like using a plunger to like get like just hydraulic pressure air in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was another reason I would just be like, I don't want to have sex. I don't want to touch anything down there because it just hurts.
Yeah.
And it's like just basically this part of every month where I would be like totally disconnected from my body. It also really something that I don't think really people talk about is how much it hurts your social life.
Well, because you're wearing a diaper.
Yeah, truly. It would be the embarrassment of me being like, I have to wear this like giant, like the Always ZZZ pad underwear things that are huge. And I would be like, someone could see it under my jeans. What if like, what if that's not enough? What if I'm out too long and it leaks? And like, what if no one has a like good enough tampon for me and they only have lights and I'm screwed? And you just start to worry about all those things to the point where you're like, I don't even want to go out. I'm safe in my house where like I can free bleed and no one cares. And, I'm good.
Fill up the tub.
Yeah, fill up the tub
and
have a good time. So I just found myself being less social. I wouldn't go to things. I would know like, oh, this week is my period. Like I try not to schedule anything then. I missed out on like fun things my friends were doing. I wouldn't go on trips even. Like, if they were like, we're going to go to New York for this, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to be in New York on my period. I'll just be like in the hotel room the whole time. It's stupid.
Yeah. No, I was thinking that when you first said the diaper thing, because when I got my copper IUD, like I do love it, but the healing after, it was like a month of bleeding a lot. And I had to wear a diaper and I just stayed home the whole time, which like honestly, not much different than my social life, but could influence somebody who's like an extrovert.
Yeah. And like I was just kind of starting comedy around that age and really like, in Chicago, wanting to live it up and go to the bars. And it would just be like, if I tried on my period, I would go out, probably be out for like 40 minutes to an hour. And then I would just be counting down. It would just be the countdown to, when am I going to feel something wet in my pants? When am I going to feel something wet in my pants?
The countdown to trickle down.
Yep. The countdown. I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
my leg's red. Gotta go.
And constantly that terror. There was one time I was at, it was, like a brunch thing, like a backyard brunch thing that some friends of mine in Chicago would do. And I was wearing these kind of like flowy capri pant things. And all of a sudden a friend of mine was like, oh, I think you stepped on something. Your toe is bleeding. And I was like, yeah, my toe is bleeding. I was just like,
I stubbed my toe.
That is my toe. And then I just snuck in, went to the bathroom and did the classic wrapping the diaper I'm already wearing in toilet paper.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
Have you ever, this is fucked up of me, but I am strange in that when I was smoking a lot of weed, I used to like to keep the ash that I had and watch it grow. If I was bleeding this much, I would, like you were saying before, want to measure.
Yeah.
Have you ever done an experiment where you keep it?
I think the closest I ever came was mostly because like you want evidence for the doctor, because you can go in and be like, I am bleeding a gallon, and they're like, we don't believe you, you know. So the closest I ever came was that I was like keeping, like I had a really heavy, it sounds so gross, but I like had a really heavy diaper that was just like like it soaked fully through, and I like wrapped it because I was like, I'm gonna take this bitch to the doctor.
Yeah.
And they were like, you can take pictures and just upload them to your patient portal. Please take a photo.
Like, I don't think I can, because you keep not believing me.
I was like, you're not gonna get it from the photo. Okay, you gotta see.
So I'm gonna make you hold this heavy diaper
seeping thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, please just photographs. And so then in like, I mean, yeah, there's always just I want to see to compare it, because I think they say like the average woman in her lifetime will bleed like 10 gallons or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. But I was just, when I read that, I was like, I want to see for me, because I think people with endo, we're doing triple that. Like
that was Monday.
Yeah. I'm like, and people with copper IUD, like we are bleeding constantly.
Oh my God. Wait, so do you still have a copper IUD?
No. So they were like, nope, this is not for you. I got rid of it. They put me back on the pill, and I was like,
right.
This is making me crazy. It's not working with my antidepressants. So then we came around to the hormonal IUD. So now I have Skyla, which actually has been working great and is the best treatment that I've had, because it has the hormones. So it keeps your body from like creating that wall and trying to have a period. And then it also slowly gets rid of your periods. So like I've had mine now for about a year, and my period is probably only 2 to 3 days.
Oh, wow.
And I don't even have to like use a pad anymore. There are days I freely. Whoa. Yeah. It is a complete reversal. And it's like, I still have to check for cysts and like any growth. So like when I go to my, women's appointments, they'll still do the like interuterine thing and make sure that I don't have any new cysts developing. But at the very least, like
the little wand,
that goes up in there. And they'll still do that, which sucks because most people don't have to do that in their, check-ins. They just get like a pap smear and they get to go.
I had to do that once because I was having crazy pain in college, and it was like for like 3 weeks, and I couldn't figure out what was happening. So I went for an immediate or like an emergency appointment, and they did one of those, an ultrasound.
Yeah.
And it turns out that I had such crazy rough sex 3 weeks prior that the guy had like jostled my organs.
That's hilarious.
And they were like, you have air bubbles between your organs. And I was like, is there anything I can do? And they were like, just like chill and maybe don't fuck that guy again.
That would terrify me. I'd be like, is it gonna pop? Like,
he was so hot though. It was worth it.
Sometimes you gotta risk it,
Yeah.
Sometimes you do. I mean, even when I like had endo pain, there were some times where I was like, this guy's hot. It's gonna hurt, but
you gotta do it.
I gotta do it. Like, he's hot. Like, I'm down to lock this in, And I also, I don't know. For me, I didn't want to tell a lot of people that I was dealing with it. That was another issue.
Yeah.
Where I was just kind of like, it's a weird thing. I don't want people like in my business or like, I don't know. It's not like I've ever been someone who wants to like get married and have children, but like in any sort of experience when I was dating, it was like, well, is this person gonna want to deal with me if like for 1 week out of the month, I can't do anything and I'm no fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's, I mean, we grew up in a time of like extreme period stigma, and just being like, oh, gross. And like, is she on her period? And like everything about like a period was just like, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Which is so annoying because it's like, just because it's not part of their life doesn't mean it's not part of ours. It's not part of
ours. And it's kind of like a huge part of our lives.
It's a huge part. Yeah. But so you said Skyla's been working, and that makes sense because the treatments, it says pain medication and hormone therapy may ease symptoms. So I think the Skyla may count as hormone therapy, but there must be some other.
That'll count as hormone therapy. Sometimes they'll put you on like a high dose of what is that's in the pill, progesterone or whatever. I know some people who have had estrogen treatments. I know there was a thing where people were talking about testosterone treatments helping. I don't know much about it, but I know that was like something people were discussing for endo treatment.
So don't want your period? Become a man.
There you go.
We all have testosterone, FYI.
We all, yeah. So, I think that does something to like help your body. I don't know. I think it maybe just slows your uterus down. I don't know. Not a doctor. But for me, hormone therapy has really been all that works. Some people are kind of lucky and they have endo and they just get like one cyst and it bursts and then they like don't have problems again.
Oh, no.
So you can be lucky like that. And those are also people who sometimes never know they even had endo. They're just like, oh, I had like a bad period one time. Yeah. Now I'm good.
They say also minor surgery to remove endo deposits can help with fertility problems. Yeah. It can also help in cases of severe pain.
Yeah. So those are that's like the extreme end. That's what Lena Dunham had done. She had to have surgery to have her uterine wall removed because the scar tissue from the burst cyst had formed and were so hard that it was just causing constant pain. Like even when she wasn't on her period, it just feels like that constant pressure and pain in your abdomen. Yeah. So if that happens and you've tried everything else and, hormones aren't working, they'll be like, yeah, we just need to go in and we have to remove all the scar tissue and all the cysts. And in some cases, they'll be like, let's just do a full hysterectomy and get rid of your ovaries so you don't have a period, and then problem solved. You don't have a uterus.
Which is crazy because a lot of people are trying to do that surgery for like fertility options, but then if you have a whole hysterectomy, like, no, you're not going to be carrying your own child.
Yeah. So,
but you won't be in pain.
So it is a little like, what do you want? But if you do want to have children, it can be a hard decision because even just having like the scar tissue removed can make it harder to have children in the future. So that's why a lot of people don't want to go the surgical route and just kind of like, I'll take a risk with it. I think personally, if mine had gotten so bad because I know I don't want to have kids, I would have been like, take it all out. Like, let's just, if the hormone treatment hadn't worked, I would have been like, it's got to go.
Yeah. Wait, so did you ever have a surgery?
No. When my cyst burst, they basically just like put me on antibiotics and watched it. They like did another ultrasound thing to make sure that like none of my, I guess it wasn't impacting any organs or anything. And like it wasn't infecting anything.
But I saw a tweet of yours that was like, sex after my surgery was like amazing. But was that the surgery?
Oh, that was my gallbladder surgery. I had my gallbladder removed.
Why did I think it was endo? Because maybe it like touches the uterus? I don't know.
I know that another girl was talking about how she had sex after endo, Megan. And I told her about how my
replying to it,
my cyst burst, and when I got on hormonal treatment, then it was good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, to this woman's point,
but
apparently, after you have your surgery, sex can feel really fucking great.
Yeah. And so, for her, she had to do the full removing of like scar tissue and stuff. And I would imagine that feels great and probably not too different from when I got on hormonal therapy and had my like large cyst burst. Because I guess if I had surgery, they would have just bursted and removed it. But I wouldn't have had to bleed all over the Chicago Blue Line. So, and then after that,
Chicago's used to blood. I feel like they're like they love rough and tumble place.
Yeah, we love blood there. And so now I have sex, no problems. It doesn't hurt at all.
Amazing.
Now that I have treatment that works and we like are keeping track of any cysts that I might get. I haven't had any since I got the Skyla, which like I said, has been a year. And I didn't have any like just before that. Really, after the one I had burst, I had a small one. And that one did go away on its own. So even with that, it's like very, I don't know, I guess where it wasn't in a position where it could like grow as large as the other one. But after that,
all of this confuses me so much though, because I'm literally like, where is it coming from? Like, I know the processes of creating a period. However, it's just like, it makes no sense that it could create so much, and that, like, how did it get outside of the uterus?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
How? What do you like? What do you
If there's
mean?
no hole,
how?
Like, how? And if there is a hole, don't you need to sew it up?
Yeah.
But there is no hole.
But there's no
so
hole.
what are we talking about?
And it's just like
the hole that is supposed to go out, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it doesn't leak into the rest of your body.
It just like in, I guess in my case, the one that burst it got so big that it like went through the uterine wall to the outside of my uterus, and was like hitting against like my bladder and stuff, which is why it would hurt when I used the bathroom or just like rode a bike for too long.
Maybe it starts on the inside and then like grows into the wall.
Yeah.
And then the wall becomes so big, so then it pops out the other side.
That's all I can think, is that it just like gets so big that it bursts through like the Kool-Aid man. And there you go.
Are you watching The Studio?
I am, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so good. Last night's episode was maybe my favorite.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Sal Saperstein for this episode.
And just like Seth's character just losing his mind more and more with every thank you. Amazing.
It really like, and I'm sure people will relate to this who aren't in entertainment too, but like how much you can get up to this like high level that you've been wanting to achieve, and like you're around the people that you've wanted to be around your whole life, and you can still be so disappointed and lonely.
Yeah. Like that. Oh,
like God. It's so depressing.
It's so depressing,
but
fun. Like at the end of the episode, after this big award show, when he gets into his limo and he's just totally alone and starts crying
by himself,
I was like, yeah, that is the industry. Okay, that is every comedian, every actor who you think is so cool and amazing and popular. No, we get off stage, we do that show, we say hello to the crowd, and then we go sit in our hotel
in the green room
alone.
Yeah, or sit in the hotel room
in the quiet, and you just go.
And we play Royal Kingdom.
Oh yeah, I do fashion makeover,
and then you scroll through everyone who you feel is doing better than you.
Yep. You get on Instagram and you go, God, why didn't I get this? Why did I get booked for this?
Yeah, who books that?
Oh, and it's that's our life. And it's I
but
appreciate
no,
it's
nice to picture everybody else having those lonely moments.
Yeah, like
being
I'm
like,
just
okay,
like, maybe you look like you're having fun at the Met Gala, but I know at the end you were sad and alone. No, they actually were all having the time of their lives.
Show business. It's a show.
Okay,
it's not real business.
Yeah,
but again, every other industry too.
It's I just
like, you guys, you should know. There are some people that you're like, oh, you believe in yourself so much. They don't. They're faking it.
They're fake. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, if you're ever like, that person's so confident, they really have it together. No, nobody.
And also, if they are that confident, I'm like, you should.
Or should you be? Yeah. And if it is, it's like an ego thing where it's like, oh, somebody was too nice to you.
Yeah. There was one day when I first started this podcast, I was getting a lot of really nice feedback. And I said to this other podcaster, I feel like a lot of imposter syndrome. And she goes, well, if you have imposter syndrome, I should have imposter syndrome. And I was like, you should. Like, you really should.
I have that where I'm like, oh, but yeah, we're not.
I don't know how you don't.
Yeah, like we're not doing the same thing, but yeah.
Wait, so just to go over, for anybody who thinks that they might have endo, or you want to know more about it. What happens is inflammation and scarring. The trapped blood and tissue cause inflammation, which can lead to scar tissue formation and the development of adhesions where organs and tissues stick together. That was that thing we were talking about with hexis. Cyst formation in the ovaries. Trapped blood can form blood-filled cysts called endometriomas or endometrial cysts. They have their own names.
Yeah.
Pelvic pain, inflammation, scarring, and adhesions cause pelvic pain, which may be severe and chronic. Infertility is caused by the scarring and adhesions, or it can interfere with reproductive organs, making it difficult to conceive. And then other complications are, in some cases, endometriosis can also cause digestive problems, urinary issues, and other symptoms, according to Medical News Today and Healthy Women. Healthy people, too, because, not all people with uteruses
are women.
Are women, yeah.
And, like, I think for me, one of the biggest things was, like, I talked to girls who didn't have endo, and they would be like, Midol is such a relief for me. Midol's amazing. Yeah. Or I just take an aspirin and I'm good. And I would be like, I do that and it doesn't do anything. Like, I was like, Midol is candy to me. Like, I could I could chug a bottle of it and it would do nothing. And I think that, like, a lot of times we think we tolerate just a normal amount of pain that everyone else is. But it wasn't until I heard that I was like, oh, I am dealing like different. This is different. I should be able to just take a Midol.
See, I just learned something about Midol last night, and this is not a brag. However, I have never had painful periods. I get really emotional, but my body, I never really cramped. Nothing happened. And then this period that I'm having right now, last night I had the biggest headache, the worst cramps I've like ever had. Had to go out for laser tag for my sister-in-law's birthday. And I texted my sister. I was like, can you bring me a Midol? And she was like, why? I was like, I don't know. I hear it's good for periods. Like, that's the whole thing with it. And she's like, well, Midol's just acetaminophen and a diuretic.
And caffeine. Oh, yeah, that's the diuretic.
And caffeine. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, I don't need to poop. And she was like, Remy, a diuretic makes you pee. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't know that. Like, why does it sound like diarrhea?
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And so, yeah, apparently Midol is just like Tylenol that makes you pee.
Yeah, and poop. And, like, the caffeine like makes you poop. And I guess they're like, if you pee and poop, you don't feel period pain anymore.
And that's allegedly what bloating is.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes sense, I guess.
It didn't make sense to me. I was like, it feels like a different type of pain. But I guess that's what it is. So, yeah, if Midol's not working for you, it's because
it sucks.
Well, it's just very low dose painkiller.
Yeah. And like, I think the only painkiller that really worked for me when I had a cyst and it was really bad, I had a root canal and a doctor gave me hydrocodone. And I was like, wow, this is the first time I have not felt my period cramps because I am just knocked out on basically Vicodin.
Oh my God.
Like,
you're like, I need to do some more dental work.
Yeah. Let me just like get hooked on
I'll schedule it for the week of my period and the week after.
Every time, and you're all set.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, you guys can't do that all the time.
I just want to say that I have learned a disgusting thing, which is that endometriomas are also called chocolate cysts. That's so gross.
You know what?
Chocolate cysts.
It makes sense.
I just sent you the picture because that's what was in me.
Oh, you know what?
It does look like a little chocolate, right? It looks like a little Rolo just sitting there.
Yeah, it's like a little raisinette.
Yeah.
That can kill you. No. This is a gross thing about me. So I make little sculptures out of Baby Bell cheese wax.
Oh.
You know what color Baby Bell cheese wax is. It's like a bright red. But I like to roll them for days so that I can make like a gradient of color. And if you do it for long enough, it becomes like a dark maroon brown.
Wow.
Which is basically a chocolate cyst.
Chocolate cyst. What do you do with them?
I'll show you.
I kind of want to see. Oh my gosh. That's so cool. That is so cool.
Thank you.
Do you like
a little design?
Do you like do that on TikTok? Like, you can make TikToks doing that and like speed them up, and you'd probably be able to buy a house.
That's what my boyfriend keeps saying. And then I looked into it, and there's this other man on TikTok who makes like insane Baby Bell sculptures, and he's not even like making money off of it. So
yes, people aren't that into Baby Bell sculptures.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's like they do, like, I watch this lady who just squishes stuff. She's just like, oh, you think this is a piece of cake? No, it's a squishy sand toy. And it's like, yes, okay, that's it. Okay. I love it.
But like, he's attractive too. So I would think,
yeah,
I would think
people would want to watch that. That's okay.
And maybe they'll just like mine better. I don't know.
See, you're a cute girl. That does a lot. You know? But every day I'm like, what is a dumb thing I could just record myself doing that people would be like, gosh, I love watching this.
Yeah. No, the thing I like is I make little designs and then I squish them. And I think people would like that.
They would love that.
It's like a little sand mandala for me.
They would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you guys, I'm quitting comedy and becoming a wax person.
Yeah, full-time TikToker. It's probably the future anyway. In about 10 years, no one's going to know how to read or know what comedy is. So, hey.
And I will get cast in a movie because of my wax career.
That's more likely
Not
than
because
acting.
of anything
Not
I've
anything. No, it's literally, that's how you get in movies today. It's like, oh, that's the girl on TikTok who squishes the cheese stuff.
Uh-huh. But then people are like, how much cheese are you eating? And I'm like, well, that's a conversation for another day.
Those, I eat so many of them. They're, first of all,
so
kind of good for you. They're not like horrible.
No, they're great.
Yeah, they're so good.
Speaking of so good, so you're feeling much better now.
Yes.
Periods are better. And
oh yeah, it's been a year of like living what feels like a new life, basically.
Yeah.
I still have to worry, like cysts can still happen, even though I am on a hormone treatment, just because my body is crazy and likes to be crazy. So, you know, they still check for that. And I guess I'm always like afraid that the hormones could stop working and I'll need surgery later if I start developing like scar tissue or anything. But so far it's working. And I'm like, it could have been this easy. You mean like 10 years ago, I could have just got this and I would have been fine. So I try to talk about it because I feel like so many women don't know that there are treatments, that it isn't this thing that you have to be like, well, what can I do about it other than removing my ovaries? It's like, no, there's things you can do.
Things you can do.
Yeah. And doctors suck.
How long does the IUD last? They do.
This one lasts 3 or 5 years. I should probably get that locked in. I think it's 3.
And did the putting it in hurt?
That was horrible. It was horrible. And like my IUD insertions were always more painful than I think a standard person's because of the endo.
Mine were horrible. And again, I've never cramped during a period.
Like, and I know girls who were like, I got my IUD popped in and I just went and rode my bike home. I was totally fine. And no, I was
out of commission for a month.
Yeah, I was out of commission because especially with the copper one, I was down and out for like a month. When I got that switch to what I have now, getting the copper one taken out so bad. And it's also bigger. The copper one is bigger than the hormonal ones. So I felt it. I felt like I felt it tearing the uterine wall. It was so painful. And then he was like, well, you're lucky because the other one is smaller, so you won't even feel me pop it in. That was a lot. I felt it was a lot. Yeah. It still hurt.
You'll just be feeling a pinch.
Yep. And it was like, oh, no, that still hurts. It wasn't as bad. And I would say after the Skyla one, it was only really bad for like a week. I would say like I didn't leave bed that weekend. And then it was a week of like using heating pads and making my boyfriend do everything for me.
Cool. Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you this too, because are you still living a poly life?
I am still polyamorous.
Okay. Yeah. So what I have heard is the most difficult thing about being poly for a lot of people is the scheduling.
Yes.
Like just between people and their schedules and stuff. And I imagine adding endo and crazy periods to that made your life hell.
Oh, it was hell. It's like being poly, I'm a person where I'm solo poly. So I have partners that I have been with for a long time. They know me really well. And those people understand like, oh yeah, you have endo, you're on a period right now. Totally understand. But then when I'm like getting to know new people or just like kind of out dating, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to like hit you up to hang for a full week. And, oh, I'm just like, when do I bring up like, oh, I have endometriosis and it's this whole thing. So I kind of love that I don't have to think about that anymore.
Yeah.
But with the scheduling, it really would be like, if I had like I had one partner, we would switch like every other weekend. And like if our weekend fell when I had my period, I would just be like, well, this kind of fucking sucks. Like, can we swap it out? Like what?
Yeah.
No, it's your other person's flow. Like, let's get that into our Google Calendar and figure that out. But now I'm just like, yeah, it's all good.
You're like, I'm available.
I don't have to wear those gross like diaper pads anymore. I truly feel like I'm a whole new person.
No, I can't even imagine. Like it's honestly wild that it went on for as long as it did. And like medical professionals, like low key knowing what it was.
Yeah. And I'm considered like a lucky case. Like my doctor was like, oh, you're lucky that like, you know, your cyst burst and we knew that you had a cyst. So like that made it easier to treat you for endo. Other people, they can have a cyst burst and not even know that it was a cyst that burst. Like they might just think, oh, I had an extra heavy float, like I said, or a random miscarriage. So they're not even getting treated with, you know, possible treatments that could help them. They're not getting on hormonal therapy because they don't know that it could help because they don't even know they have the issue. So I don't know. I don't know how we get doctors to care about women's health issues.
It seems like something that a conservative politician should care about.
Right.
Like if your goal is to have women making babies all the time, give them $5,000 and also maybe take away this thing that causes infertility.
Yeah. Maybe get someone on that. Somebody, like, you know,
it's something that they would probably never look into because they're like, ew, women's issues. Yeah. But like, if you want women or people with uteruses to make a baby with said uterus, the uterus has to be functioning.
Yeah.
So tell your conservative friends, family, uncles. Yeah, everyone has
all
one.
Of them. Oh, yeah.
Tell them about it and pretend that the reason you care about it is because you're like, women just aren't having babies these days. And it's because of endometriosis.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, when they developed Viagra, they realized there were benefits for Viagra to women, but they realized they'd make more money selling it to men. So they were just like, well, forget all that women's research. And I do believe like probably Viagra is like the cure to endometriosis. It probably does something where it stops blood from going into certain cells and causing the cyst. And we'll just never know because they're like, nah, it's better for boners.
Well, also that episode of Sex and the City where Samantha takes the Viagra seems to work.
That's true.
And that writer's room was based on stuff that they
pure
all did.
Truth, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Pure truth.
All of it. Yeah.
You know what? I'll guinea pig myself for that.
You know what? Maybe I should get this. Maybe I get this IUD taken out. I let some and I give it a shot. I got some time.
Yeah. I'm gonna try Viagra for horniness, not for
endo.
I think you should keep your little Skyla.
I'm gonna keep my Skyla, but you know, if I ever want to experiment, I might pop her out and I'll try Viagra.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm really curious. I hope we could find out how long the surgery takes. Eventually. So if somebody's had endo surgery, write to me and answer these questions.
I mean, I can hit up Meg, the girl who tweeted.
Hit up Meg. Okay. What was the surgery like? What was recovery like? Is surgery the end of it? Or do you have to do more surgery ever? Mm-hmm. And does insurance cover surgery?
Those are good questions. I know Lena Dunham had to have surgery twice.
Okay. Thank you, Lena Dunham, for
She's our leading expert in this field.
Yeah. And also, how soon after surgery are you allowed to do anything sexual?
Yeah. When I got my gallbladder taken out, I couldn't have sex for a week. So there you go.
Okay.
if anybody out there is worried about your gallbladder, which also you should be. It's really terrifying how mine got infected. But yeah.
How? Blood seeping through your body?
My body had a hard time processing fats and I did not know. And I kept having pain when I ate fatty things, but I was just like, oh, I don't know, it's whatever. And then one day I thought I was having a heart attack and I went to the ER and they did an ultrasound and they were like, oh, you have the most infected gallbladder we've ever seen. It was so infected. They took photos and the doctor was like, I'm putting this in my book. Cause it's they had a quarter next to the gallstones and they were like, look how big they are.
Oh my God.
So, if you
really are special.
Yeah. Really special.
You're very unique.
Just having a good time. They took the whole thing out. Now I'm good. So
But what does a gallbladder do? This is not a gallbladder episode.
No, but it releases bile into your stomach, basically, to help your body break down certain foods. So like fatty foods, you need a lot of bile to break it down. If you don't have a gallbladder, you don't have that bile. Well, you do, but your body's just like constantly putting it out. So you either like have too much bile and you like throw up sometimes if you eat too much fatty stuff, or like you constantly have diarrhea. But what you can take is ox bile pills. And so you get bile from oxen, and then your body re-regulates.
So that's how you just do it now.
Yeah, I take gallbladder pills if I eat something. And then actually what has been the biggest cure, my doctor put me on it about 2 years ago, because basically my body has like all this bile and it was like digesting food too quickly. So I wasn't getting any nutrients from my food and I would just have diarrhea all the time. And they were like, well, you need something that'll slow down your digestive tract so your body isn't just pushing all this food out. You know what slows your digestive tract down? Ozempic. So I was on it. I was on it before it was cool. Okay. Before it was cool, and I have to take it so I can eat food. So.
And doctor recommended, and not because she wants to be skinny. Yeah. She's always loved her body.
I love my body. It's literally, if I don't take it, my body will just be like, the food just goes right through me. Like it'll just. It's just like slick with bile and the food goes right out. And
none of this is good for fucking, Ashley.
None of it's good for fucking. Like my skin turns yellow. The fact that
you're like, I'm going to be poly, and I would be like, I'm not fucking anyone.
And I'm just like, you know, it's just part of my poly introduction. As I introduce them to my calendars, I'm like, and oh, by the way, here's what goes on with my gallbladder and how we deal with this. I do have one partner who does the shots for me and another who's like terrified of it.
Aw, different friends for different things.
Exactly.
Different lovers for different things.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ozempic, I feel bad for the people who like are on it for medical reasons because it's become so like, you're on Ozempic. Like, you know,
even the pharmacists, they treat me like shit. One time I was like, hey, I know you guys are like, they're the stock issues, but like I'm already 2 days past when I'm supposed to take it. And the pharmacist was like, you can take this medicine late. It's fine. Like, you know, you'll be okay. Like what, you eat a little bit more.
Like you vain LA bitch.
And I was like, no, I'm on it because my body can't digest food. If I'm going to vomit for the next 2 days if I don't have this medication.
Yeah. No, and honestly, some people who are on it for weight loss, like that's because their bodies aren't healthy at those weights.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But that doesn't mean being fat is unhealthy. I know some very, very healthy fat people, but then there's people like me. If I gained like 30 pounds last year and my body started falling apart. My ankles started swelling. Like it was crazy. So yeah, no judgment.
Yeah, no judgment. But that was the thing. If you're out there and you don't have a gallbladder and you've been like, every time I eat a burger, I vomit. Ozempic might help you.
Talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Ashley, do you have any sexual goals now that you have a whole new body in life?
I mean, you know, I feel like I do, and I feel like I've already like achieved a lot of that.
Okay, go on.
Like a big goal for me was I wanted to squirt.
Great.
And before I couldn't, like, if I ever felt that feeling like, oh, I might squirt, it felt like pain. It felt like, oh no, this is bad. It hurts.
Yeah.
Now I feel that feeling. It doesn't hurt. I'm just like, oh my God, this is how they do it. This is how people squirt. They feel this.
Amazing. It's a release, not like a...
Yeah, it's a release. Like it feels like good pressure, not like bad pressure that's causing me pain now.
How did you do it?
How did I squirt?
Yeah.
We did the vaginal or clitoral stimulation with vaginal penetration while slowly pulling the vaginal penetration out and continuing the clitoral stimulation.
Cool.
And that made it happen for me.
Toy or
toy?
Penis? Nice.
Which I guess I could try it with a penis, but the toy, I don't know.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. You know, do they say hard?
Don't scare the penis.
Yeah, you know, and when I squirt, they get afraid. Oh no.
No, they like that.
But then, I mean, I guess I always like, even with endo, like I was still a member of like queer sex clubs and stuff like that. And now I just like do a lot more of it. I feel like, more just comfortable in those spaces and playing with people, because I know like, oh, they're not going to like cause me pain and I'm going to be crying and everyone's like, what's wrong? So yeah.
Your toe won't start bleeding.
Yeah. My toe's not bleeding. It's just, we're all chill. So yeah, it's just been easier to like play and to feel, to live and to just feel like sexually free and not like, oh, sex is something I have to save for like this week and a half in my life.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, I'm honestly proud of you for having become so like sexually comfortable despite all this stuff, Yeah. And then now you're just gonna have the best time.
Yeah, because it is one of those things that just makes you feel so disconnected from your body, but mostly from your sex life, from this like organ that dictates so much of what you do, and you just feel like you have no control over it. It has control over you. Like if it wants to bleed all night and cause me pain, that's what we're dealing with. But not anymore. I'm in control now.
Hell yeah. Ashley, thank you so much for coming back on the pod. If you guys want to hear Ashley's other episodes, go do that. They're great. Where can everybody find you online?
You can follow me at the Ashley Ray. I have a podcast, TV I Say with Ashley Ray. You can go listen to it. Or you can read my Substack. It's called Deep Trouble. But you'll find it. Go to theashleyray.com.
Yay. I have to ask you one more question, which I have to ask everybody after a sexual experience. Ashley Ray, did you finish?
I did. I came.
Great. Thank you so much for coming.
Everywhere.
Hell yeah. I finished too. You guys, thanks for listening. You can follow me at Remy Casimir. And if you want to see this episode unedited with video, go to patreon.com/howcome. Bye.
Bye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz